And we are live with another edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Nicholas Pavona, joined alongside, as always, by my co-host, Andrew Johnson. And Johnson, now we are going into week number 16 in the NFL this upcoming weekend. Been a crazy 15 weeks to get here so far in the NFL season. We've already had a couple teams as of this past weekend finally clinch a playoff spot going into the playoffs this season. A couple of other teams have also been eliminated from the playoff picture. And we have a couple more playoff scenarios going into week number 16. But a very interesting week, to say the least, Johnson.
I mean, it's interesting for a lot of reasons, Nick. But I'll let you kick us off. I'll let you kick us off. I'm not gonna ramble.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with Thursday night. Let's start off with that game first off and foremost. The Buccaneers are kind of in trouble right now. I'm not sure what exactly went wrong in this game for them. The Falcons had 20, I don't remember the number. It was either 20 or 21 penalties. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Regardless, it was the first time since like 2019 a team has had that many penalties in a game alone. And they allow all these penalties. They gave up all these touchdowns. They're down 14 points in the fourth quarter. You're thinking, well, it's the Falcons. This game is over. They have their backup quarterback playing. They don't have Drake London playing. But you got to give Atlanta credit. Despite the fact that they're already eliminated from the playoffs, they were trying to play spoiler in this game against the Buccaneers, and they did just exactly that. Kyle Pitts has arguably his best game of his NFL career. 11 catches, 166 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins throws for 373 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Bijan Robinson had another strong showing as well. And on that last drive with the Falcons, it looked like, they were down by 2 points. It was 3rd and 28. I almost said Matt Ryan. I don't know why I said that, but Kirk Cousins got them into a 4th and 14 after a 14-yard completion. And then on 4th and 14, gets the completion to David Sills to set up a first down. A couple plays later, they get inside a field goal range, and they knock off the Buccaneers 29-28 the final. Tampa Bay still is in the tie for first place in the NFC South due to the Panthers losing this past Sunday to the New Orleans Saints. So a big break for Tampa Bay there. But as I mentioned, Johnson, despite them getting healthy on the offensive side, their defense is really struggling these last couple weeks.
It may be Todd Bowles' final season in Tampa Bay.
Could be. At least Mike Evans looked good. Yeah,
listen, Mike Evans, funny enough, I thought he was going to have 200 yards this game, but It's crazy because, he's still not, he wouldn't be on pace for 1,000 yards, but if he has 1 or 2 more games like that, he would have been on pace the entire year. So, yeah, it is a real shame this to be an asterisk, especially if he comes back as a fully healthy season next year and he does do 1,000 yards, it's going to make it even worse. But yeah, this was a great game, and Buccaneers have a lot of problems, and this is not the time of year you want to discuss having problems or developing problems.
Right.
You want to have this discussion in September. You want August 16th, September 16th. If it's, if you're talking about problems in October, November, you're dicey. In December, the season's pretty much over. Like, if you have this many gaps, if you're going this many leads, especially to inferior competition, we'll call it inferior competition, even though Falcons are one of the better 4-win teams out there.
They're just so Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, they beat the Bills 1 week, and then the week prior, or whatever it was, 2 weeks prior, they lose to the Jets.
They had a lot of one-score losses.
Yeah,
that's what I will say. But let's talk about the next game, Nick. And
before we do that, let me ask you real quick before we go into this game. Do we start off with the good news this week for you, or the bad news for this week? What would you like?
Start off the bad news, Nick. Let's start off the bad news.
So let's get a little bit ahead of our schedule of our notes. Let's start off with the Bills-Patriots game then, and then we'll go into the next game that I know you want to talk about a little bit more. Patriots up 21 points at one point in this game against Buffalo, and then Josh Allen kind of happened. Spectacular performance from Allen in this game. He, Drake May, and Travion Henderson just trading punches back and forth in the second half, but it's Allen and company. They got a much-needed win on the road, erasing the 21-point deficit. They stay alive in the AFC East race with a 35-31 win over New England. So, yes, Johnson, at the end of the day, it was a tough loss for your Patriots in this matchup. Could have clinched the AFC East with the win. But going into our next game, it was at least a good way to end your day because it did help another scenario happen. But any thoughts about this game itself?
Yeah, listen, you shouldn't blow a 21-point lead, but when you have help from Zebras and Roger Goodell, and I don't care what anyone say that was not a pass interference. If it was a pass
It was pass
interference,
interference.
there was that, and
Here's
they
what it
should have
was.
called. They definitely should have called it the other way then, Nick.
No,
Because
here's
it
the
was
problem with that play.
it was the identical play that happened on the offensive side of the ball for the
I know,
Patriots,
but
and they did not get that call.
That one play
So,
you're talking about, here's the issue I have with the play. The catch was not a catch. The pass interference was pass interference because he didn't turn his head around. But the fact that they gave him the catch afterwards, that's the problem with that play. The penalty was right. The penalty and giving him the catch was the wrong part of that whole play. That's where I could see why you make that statement.
I don't know, man. It felt like multiple points during the game, especially during the quote unquote comeback that was organic and totally not, sponsored by the NFL. It felt like to me that the Bills were getting 7 or 8 downs. Like they would have, the Pats would hold them to, be 4 and out, and then, there's a late flag, and it happened twice.
I
So it
think the
felt like,
problem also. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, it just felt like it happened twice, and, it can't be sour grapes. I said that they would split the series at the beginning of the year, and they split the series just the opposite way I intended it, and everyone didn't really expect them to each win on the road. Everyone kind of expected them to win at home.
Right.
But yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. James Cook, man, had a good game. Anytime James Cook has a good game, Josh Allen does. But
I think the only thing I had other than that was the New England offense was a little bit different from what we saw in the first half of that game. Right. The second half offense wasn't that great. Travion Henderson, outside of that one touchdown run in the second half, they really didn't do anything in the second half offensively. I get it. The referees probably played a big part in that game too, but the offense for New England definitely struggled in the second half too, which is a big reason. And the defense also struggled because I think the Bills scored on every possession of that second half too. So
hey, it helps when you have 7 first downs.
Well, yeah, I know your stance on this game, but it's a much needed win for Buffalo. They had to get this win, stay alive in the division race. They're getting closer and closer to clinching a playoff spot. I think there is a scenario that they can clinch a playoff spot this week. I'll break that down later on in the show, but let's at least get you into a better mood, Johnson, because of course there was another result that happened on Sunday, and even though your Patriots lost in this matchup, it did help this result happen. The Kansas City Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs. I don't know if you want to break down what happened in this game or if you want to talk a little bit about this game and what happened afterwards as well. But, yeah. First time since 2014, the Chiefs are not going to be in the postseason, and Patrick Mahomes out for the year and maybe the start of next season as well with a torn ACL.
Yeah, no, you never want to see the star quarterback of an opposing team get hurt. However, seeing the Chiefs get eliminated, that was one of the sweetest things I could possibly say.
If there was any positive New England losing, it was that.
I said, listen, I don't care what happens with the New England Buffalo game. I said Buffalo could win, as long as the scenario was that a couple games had to go their way.
It had to be Chargers win, Buffalo
Texans.
win, Jaguars win, and Texans win, and then obviously the Chiefs losing the Chargers. Yep, that was the scenario for the Chiefs to get eliminated.
And hey, Justin Herbert with his offensive line, the worst offensive line, I don't want to say in NFL history, but it's probably up there. It's up there.
This is the problem.
It's a historically bad offensive line.
Yeah, they can they have backups on backups right now, and it's just bad. But give them credit. Their defense played ball. They balled out in this game again.
Their defense looked good, and man, if you give Justin Herbert an offensive line, you have the pieces on offense because they're really struggling because of the. I just saw some horrendous blocks during this game.
Yeah.
Just straight up disrespectful. Watching the offensive line, not even block at some point. Just just letting him waltz right in and touch Justin Herbert, which is crazy to me.
That's kind of like what the Bengals are doing right now with Joe Burrow, and that's another story for a different day. But yeah, it's been really bad. And again, it'd be nice to have your top 2 tackles because that definitely, helps a lot. But
yeah, listen, if they had their 2 top offensive linemen, the other 3 positions wouldn't be a problem because they'd be holding down the fort for him. It would be a league average offensive line.
You can make the case that they'd be tied for first place right now in the division with Denver.
Oh, I would definitely. I would take. Yeah, if you had the listen when Slater got injured beginning of the year, they said
Yeah.
they went from like a 9-win team to a 7-win team just off the
Yeah.
rip in the sports books.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
I'll put hand up. I thought immediately because of that injury that they were not going to make the playoffs because I figured that was just too big of a loss for them on their offensive line, and then they lose another offensive lineman later in the year. I'm trying to remember his name. Joe Alt. Yeah, how can I forget Joe Alt? They lose Joe Alt during the season as well. So like that, then you're like, okay, well, we know the Colts are in a position right now with injuries, but man, this team is also dealing with a lot of injuries. And Herbert gets hurt a couple weeks ago with the hand injury. And as I mentioned, the defense the last two games against the two teams that were in the Super Bowl alone have really, really played strong to this point in the season where they need to play strong. And they go into this weekend now. They have a possibility to clinch a playoff berth if they get the win and they get some help along the way as well.
But I think this is a testament on how good Harbaugh is as a head coach. It's really a testament to him.
Any other comments you want to make about the Chiefs?
This is Travis Kelce's last year, right?
It very might well be.
He said he was coming back for one more year. That's what he said, right? It wasn't an official retirement.
I don't know.
That was the unofficial rumor.
I don't know if he's going to come back another season next year. You could see that the Chiefs just have not, even before this game, like they weren't looking right at all the last like month or two. And Mahomes had been running a lot more this season than he has probably done his entire career. That's because the offensive line has been either bad or they've been hurt. And then Mahomes gets injured on a play where he was just running and, hyperextended his leg and that tore his ACL. And I think his LCL too also got torn on that play as well. So, yeah, he'll be out for the entire season. They're already eliminated for the playoffs, so it's probably, he was probably not going to play regardless.
I would say he's out for the entire season based on every single medical advancement and knowledge that we have about torn ligaments in the knee.
Yeah.
But the Twitter doctor said, he'll be ready by week 1 next year. So, all right, so if you want to believe some guys on Twitter that say he'll be ready to go in 8 months, you can believe
that. It's possible, but there's a good shot he does miss the first month of the season next year. But Mahomes, he's going to try to push and do everything in his power to get ready for week 1.
Regardless if he actually makes it at the beginning of the season, halfway through the season, or the last game of the season, he's not going to fully trust that knee until 2027.
Yeah, they can't. I think the emphasis for the Chiefs this offseason has got to be getting more offensive line help. Because remember, keep in mind, Johnson, they're over the cap space or whatever, dead salary cap going into next season. So they're going to have to get rid of some players again this upcoming offseason. And we just saw what they did last season. Remember, they got rid of a lot of their offensive linemen during the offseason and had to replace them in the draft and, sign some lower tier veteran men. So they're probably going to have to do it again this upcoming offseason. And if they don't do that, then they might be looking to maybe getting a running back that can, avoid having Mahomes to run a lot. Like maybe they can find someone that can run. Or maybe they get another wide receiver to be outside with Rashee Rice. I don't know where they go from here. I think the good thing about them missing the playoffs and at this point is that they're going to get a mid to high, maybe top 10 pick potentially in the draft, depending on what happens. All I'm saying is there's a running back from Notre Dame that might help them. He could help them a lot.
In that case, I hope he returns to college.
Is he a senior? I don't think he can. Actually, no, you're right. He could. I think he's a junior, so he probably could return. But I think he said he's done. I just think that's one of the names to note. If not him, it's probably one of those offensive linemen you've been telling me about.
Yeah, they're gonna get Francis McGowan. They're gonna get the guy from Miami, and he's gonna be like an all-pro offensive lineman for the next 12 years.
Yeah. By the way, did you see what the spread of their game this upcoming weekend against the Titans is?
I have not.
So normally, what would you think the Titans and Chiefs spread would be before Mahomes got hurt?
17.5.
Is 3.5 going into this week with Gardner
That is
insane.
Starting. That is absolutely
insane, right?
Wait, hold on. Is it at Tennessee or at Kansas?
It's at Tennessee.
At Tennessee, I probably would have given him 10.5 points for Mahomes. I would have given him 17 at home.
Yeah. It's a 3.5 point spread right now with Gardner Minshew playing. And he'll be playing the rest of the season. I don't know. Just saying if you're feeling froggy this weekend, Chiefs might not be the worst idea.
I hope he balls out. because they're already eliminated. I hope he has a great time. I hope he gets another contract because I
Yeah,
have
we're
no
all fans of Gardner
animosity towards
Minshew.
him.
We're all fans of
Great
Gardner
guy.
Minshew. Yeah, we like Gardner Minshew. But let's go into our next game, Johnson. The Phillip Rivers Magic was this close to pulling off what would have been maybe one of the craziest upsets in recent NFL history. But a big game from Jason Myers, hits 6 field goals in this game, including the game winner, as the Seahawks spoil the Phillip Rivers return to his NFL career. It's an 18-16 win for Seattle. They needed this win because of what happened in our next game that we'll break down in just a few moments. They remain tied in first place in the NFC West, still are tied as well for the number 1 seat in the NFC entirely. And for the Colts now, their playoff odds are starting to really, really get slimmer and slimmer by the minute. They fall to 8-6 on the year, a full game back of Houston, and their playoff odds right now are just 15% going into Week 16.
You know what the craziest thing about this whole Phillip Rivers situation is? He never officially retired up until this past offseason.
His benefits will re-kick.
That's not even the craziest part. The year that after he kind of unofficially retired, right? So he's a Colt in what, 2020?
He was a Colt. He last played for the Colts in the playoffs. So January 2020 was his last game.
So the next year, the year the Niners made the Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Or no, it was the year that the Niners almost made the Super Bowl and they had Brock Purdy starting, right?
The 21 season about.
Yeah, so the 2020 the 2021 season.
Yes.
So that season, Phillip Rivers was on every single Zoom call team meeting with the Niners organization.
Oh, yes. I heard about the story. Yes.
So he wasn't even
Brock
like
Purdy got hurt and they were thinking about bringing him in?
It was when Jimmy G got hurt and then
Jimmy G got hurt. Yes.
They missed Brock Purdy because they was so down on the depth chart. And then you have to start John Johnson that game.
Yes.
If you remember that.
I do remember that. That was the NFC Championship against Philly. I do remember that.
Yeah, and if the 49ers had won that game, they said Phillip Rivers was going to come out of retirement and play for us. So that's the craziest thing, that this guy is he's been playing. Yeah, I know. He's been an absolute football junkie. He just wants a chance to play again. So it's not like, oh man, like I retired at 40 because whatever. Like, no, he still wants to play.
He was coaching high school football.
Yeah, and he was on and he could have got called up to go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's the craziest thing about this whole situation.
And the funny part is, after he's done with this stint, he's going to go back to coaching high school football again.
Yeah, like St. Michael's in Alabama.
Yeah, he's not done. And listen, he didn't look too half bad in this game. He did throw an interception. 18
That was at the very end.
Yeah, I mean, that was at the very end. 18-27, though, for 120 and a touchdown. Not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. Phillip Rivers off the couch is better than probably 15 starting quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I told you going into that game, I said 13.5 is just too many points. I hated that line. And I'm telling you right now, I'm probably spoiling what's going to happen later on in the show, but I'm just saying I like them again this week. But good fight for the Colts. Problem is now, as I mentioned, their playoff odds are really, really slim. And we spoke about this probably the last couple of weeks. I think we probably touched upon it again last week too. The schedule is just so tough for this team right now. Now with your third technical quarterback of the season, because you had Riley Leonard playing, you had Anthony Richardson for a point, so maybe even fourth quarterback if you want to go to that route. But you got the Niners who are in the playoffs. This will come in Monday night. You have the Jaguars who just lost to recently, week 17, and then you're at Houston in week 18. So you're facing 3 playoff teams the next 3 weeks for you to get into the playoffs. So the opportunity is there for them, but it is not an easy test for them to get into the playoffs. They're going to need a lot of help, and they're going to need to get some help as well. So tough one for Phillip Rivers. I was pulling for them.
So speaking of help, unfortunately, Micah Parsons gets really badly injured, and he's out for the year now. Torn ACL. He's probably missing all of next year. And for a guy in the prime of his career, this is awful.
It really spoiled what was supposed to be a magical year for the Packers, because now you look at it like this. I get it, the Mahomes injury is big. You could argue this is a bigger injury because the Chiefs, of course, were not making the playoffs. The Packers
had Super Bowl aspirations.
Right. And the Packers could make the playoffs. They're not guaranteed to get in right now because they are right. They keep in mind they, just like the Bears the previous week, went from the 2 seed to the 7 seed because of this loss. They are now they lose this game to Denver, who now, by the way, Denver's won 11 straight games. They're the first team, or the second team, I should say, to clinch a playoff spot in the playoffs season, and they now have the best record in the AFC. So if the season ended today, the road to the Super Bowl would go through Denver. Bo Nix plays his best game of one of his best games of the season, 300 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns.
Oh, definitely his best game of the season.
Yeah, it was either this game or the Dallas game because he had a really good game against them, but that's against a really bad defense. This was a better defense at Green Bay. But yeah, losing Micah Parsons, this is a big blow for Green Bay because now you lose your best pass rusher on the season, and the Packers secondary did not look good in this game. Jordan Love had an up and down game as well through 2 interceptions, but it's against a solid defense in Denver. The problem is going to be this: can they, bounce back from this without Parsons the last 3 weeks of the season? You got the Bears on Saturday, which is a monster game, which, in my opinion, probably decides who wins the division in this NFC North. You play the Ravens in Week 17, and then you end the year at Minnesota, which they've been playing better the last couple weeks too. So it doesn't really look like a guaranteed win for Green Bay in that matchup. And the reason why they beat Minnesota the last time was most importantly due to Micah Parsons in that game. So with no Parsons, the Packers are in danger of maybe missing the playoffs this season. That's a big loss for Green Bay.
And speaking of big losses, Nick, let's talk about the Lions. We have to have that conversation now because now they're really on the outside looking with that loss against the Rams.
40% chance now of making the playoffs for Detroit, but it's still up for grabs for them. They still can make it. But the problem for them, Johnson, and this has been the problem for them for the last 4 weeks, their defense is playing horrible. They have no answer defensively right now. And it started off really good. They got an interception to start the first drive of the game. And they would score a touchdown a play later. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, monster performances for them. Both over 130 yards receiving. But they couldn't run the ball in this game, that being Detroit. They really struggled in that department. And then Puka Nacua, 181 yards receiving. He was masterful in this game. They lose Devontae Adams in this matchup, which is going to be a big blow for the Rams for the next couple weeks, potentially. They get a nice game out of Colby Parkinson, their starting tight end. Kyron Williams gets a couple of rushing touchdowns. Blake Corum gets a rushing touchdown. Stafford, despite their interception, still threw for 368 yards. And the Rams win this game 41-34. They are the first team to officially clinch a playoff spot with this victory. They right now control their destiny in terms of getting the number 1 seed in the NFC, as well as getting that NFC West title. But they have a tough game this upcoming Thursday night, and as I mentioned, will not have Devontae Adams this upcoming weekend, so that's a big loss for them on the offensive side. But yeah, like you mentioned, Jonathan, the bigger story seems to be what's going on in Detroit, because with this loss, they're still a full game and a half behind Green Bay for that last spot in the NFC North, in that last spot in the NFC standings, and they're a full 2 games back of Chicago in the NFC North division race. And their final 3 games, home this week against Pittsburgh, at Minnesota, and if they can get closer to Chicago, they will play the Bears in what could potentially be a win-and-in game.
Crazy times for the Lions here, and you feel a little bad, but it's not all Dan Campbell because clearly his offense has taken a kind of a step back here.
The defense has taken a significant step back.
I mean, the defense is horrific. Let's not even.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation, but I want to talk about more of like the 1-2 punch with Gibbs and Montgomery. It felt like that Gibbs and Montgomery were true 1-2 backs. Like you could really, depending on the day, Gibbs was the RB1 or Monty was the RB1. It seems like Monty has fell off a cliff. So I really think not having that dynamic duo has changed a lot of the play calling, and I don't want to really pin it on one guy, but that's got to be a big piece of the puzzle which they're missing right now. If they had the Montgomery from last year, this is probably a 10-win football team.
The biggest problem has been defensively, their secondary has just been injured, and they're not playing good either. Offensively, yeah, I mean, Gibbs has the last couple of weeks, it feels like Gibbs has had these spurts where he had that big, insane game against the Giants. That's not surprising because of the way their defense has been this season. But struggled against the Eagles, struggled against the Packers. The only thing he did really realistically against the Cowboys was just get a bunch of receptions in that game. So other than that, if you look at his rushing yards outside of that Giants game, it's been really not great for Gibbs these 4 of the last 5 weeks. So it's weird, like I said, we talked about this so many times in the last couple of weeks. The fact that now we see KC is out of the playoffs, and now the Lions are in danger of missing the playoffs as well. And it looks like their only chance, and I think you probably agree with me on this, they need the Packers to win this weekend because keep in mind, they don't have the tiebreaker with Green Bay. They lost both of their matchups to the Packers this season.
Yeah, no, I
So
totally
they need
agree.
the Packers to win on
You
Saturday.
never want to be this team that does not control their own fate. You do not want to rely on other teams. When you rely on other teams, it's just bad juju.
And the other problem also for them is you look at the NFC picture right now, there's a potential, Johnson, that they could get eliminated this upcoming weekend. If they lose their game to the Steelers, and let's say the Packers or Bears, or maybe they don't get eliminated, but let's say if one of those two teams win, then they allow one of those two teams to clinch a playoff spot. And then the other one would be fighting with Detroit for the last wild card. So they have to win first off against the Steelers this week. And they probably need the Packers to win, obviously, because at least with the Bears, they won that first matchup with them this season. So they have a chance to steal that last playoff spot from the Bears. But with the Micah Parsons injury, I don't know. Is Green Bay more the vulnerable team in this position of Detroit maybe sneaking in that last
and that's why I love they've ended the year with divisional games, so we're gonna find it out. They're gonna really, really find it out.
But let's go into our next game, Johnson, that being the Sunday Night Football matchup. And, I got to admit it, J.J. McCarthy's looked pretty good these last couple weeks.
No, that was 9. That wasn't JJ.
9
there you go.
Has looked good these last 2 weeks. Cowboys are on thin ice right now in the NFC playoff picture. They lose this game 34-26. It would take a pretty much miracle for them to make the playoffs right now. They think the only way they make it is through the NFC East. But yeah, their defense just continues to be a huge issue for them for the entirety of the season. You knew that was going to be a problem this season when they traded Micah Parsons, but yeah, they lose this game to the Vikings. Vikings did get eliminated earlier on in the day with the Bears win, but a nice showing from J.J. McCarthy, and that's really what the Vikings need to see right now, because if they want to have a future star quarterback for the next couple of years, they need 9 to have these type of games, and he showed out in this one.
Yeah, and he started off pretty rough too. I was the first 5 minutes of the game, all right, maybe JJ is bad, and then he turned it on. I'm like, all right, maybe he's not bad. So he's had these kind of, again, it's very hard to judge a rookie based on 1 year. I know he's not technically a rookie. He's a sophomore. He was injured last year, yada, yada, whatever. It's his rookie year. This is his first year full-time as a quarterback. So I'm going to just kind of disregard a lot of the stuff. And I think next year he'll be a year away, removed from injury, and he'll have a better chance to shine as a starter over in Minnesota. Because they invested a lot in him. Right. So they had to see something before he got injured. That's all I'm going to say.
I think the only thing they're hoping for is that he and Justin Jefferson can eventually start connecting on plays, because that's been the only problem they've had since he's played. They really, Justin Jefferson's really not had the numbers, but you have to hope that eventually they'll figure something out over time. But there's really not much I really could say much about this game other than the Cowboys have, I think, less than 1% chance to make the playoffs now at this point. The Eagles can clinch the division this upcoming weekend with a win, or the Cowboys losing this week. So Dallas needs a pretty much miracle for them to stay alive in the NFC East race. Final game of the week, Monday Night Football, Steelers and the Dolphins. There's not much to really do justice for this game. Steelers dominated. I know the score looks a little bit closer, maybe, but the Steelers dominated from start to finish of this one. Metcalf had a nice touchdown reception late in the third quarter. Rodgers is just enough in this game. Only 4 completions on the night. I guess the biggest story out of this game is that maybe the Dolphins this might be the last season for Tua Tagovailoa as their starting quarterback. Because they did talk to Mike McDaniel after or I think it was today they talked to him about this. They said everything's on the table right now in terms of what the roster is going to be the next couple weeks. So there's a possibility Tua might get benched for the last couple of games of the year, and if that's the case, that might be the last time we see Tua as a starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
It's going to be really interesting. You know what that means? You know whose time is
Quinn
it?
Ewers. It could be Quinn Ewers.
Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers. I said it I said it'd be by week 11, but hey, maybe week 16 will be the week.
But knowing your luck, it's probably going to be Zach Wilson.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I don't really know where he would go from here. The Dolphins lose this game with the loss; they get eliminated from the playoffs. Steelers, it's a big win at least for them because with Baltimore winning earlier on the day against Cincinnati, the Steelers stay in front of the AFC North by a full game over Baltimore going into this week, and they needed it because they play a Lions team that's pretty much desperate going into Week 16. The Ravens have a tough game as well this upcoming Sunday, so going to be very, very interesting to see what the AFC North looks like after Week 16. But before we go into Week 16, Johnson, let's look over some of the scenarios that could happen for the NFL this upcoming weekend. The Eagles, as I mentioned, they could clinch the NFC East this week with a win or a Dallas loss, or even a Philly or Dallas tie. If one of them ties or both of them tie, the Eagles will clinch the NFC East. The Bears and the Packers have the exact same playoff scenario with a win for either one of those two teams or a tie from either of those two teams and a Detroit loss, and the Bears or the Packers would clinch a playoff berth this upcoming weekend. The Niners have a chance to clinch a playoff berth with a win or a Detroit loss, or if San Francisco and Detroit tie. And then the Seahawks on Thursday, they can clinch a playoff berth with a win over the Rams, or if the Lions or a tie, or if the Lions lose or tie as well. So the Lions have a lot of implications for a couple different teams if they lose or tie in their matchup against the Steelers. That can help a couple of teams clinch a playoff spot in the NFC. In the AFC, Denver has a chance to clinch the AFC West division and the number one seed this upcoming weekend. If they win, the Chargers lose or tie, the Patriots lose, and the Bills lose or tie over the weekend. They could clinch the AFC West just by winning their game, and then the Chargers lose, or if they tie and the Chargers lose. So a chance for for Denver to clinch the AFC West or potentially the number one seed this weekend. Buffalo has a chance to clinch a playoff berth with a win, a Colts loss, or a tie, or they win, the Texans lose or a tie, and then a bunch of them tying or the Colts losing and the Texans losing, the same scenario in that one. There's a couple more left. I'll get to them really quickly. Patriots can clinch a playoff berth with a win or a tie, or the Colts lose or tie, or the Texans lose or tie. Jaguars clinch a playoff berth with a win or in a Colts loss, a win and a Texans loss, or if they tie and one of those two teams either lose or tie. And then finally, the Chargers, they can clinch a playoff berth with a win, a Colts loss, a win and a Texans loss, and then a tie from them, and then either a Colts loss or a Colts tie and a Texans loss. So after all that, that's all the scenarios for this upcoming weekend in Week 16. And speaking of Week 16, Johnson, let's go away into the Week 16 mushing hour.
Yeah, and I'll start us off. We have on Thursday night, Rams at Seahawks. The Rams are a 1.5 point favorite on the road, over under slated at 44.5. Give me Rams minus 1.5.
I'm going to take the under for this game. These are two of the best defenses in the NFL. With Devontae Adams out of this game, I don't expect the Rams offense to really play as good as they did this past Sunday. So I'll take the under for this matchup. It was a low-scoring game the last time these two teams played, but I have the under. If I had to pick a team to win this game, I'd probably go with you on the Rams minus 1.5 for Thursday night. We then go into Saturday. We have two games this upcoming Saturday. We start off in the NFC East where the Eagles look to clinch the NFC East crown. They go into Washington and take on the Commanders. The Eagles, a 6.5 point favorite. 44.5 is the over-under.
I'm going to take the Commanders to cover this game.
Yep. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, Commanders plus 6.5 seems like it's the move.
But going back to last week too, 3-6 week for you. But again, you took the Chiefs, so you were perfectly fine with that loss.
Oh yeah, that's a win.
And yeah, that's true. I might as well just mark that green because you're just doing it on purpose. I'm sneaking back into getting 500 this year. I went 7-2 last week, so probably one of my best weeks since like the first month of the season. So can I get over 500 this weekend? We'll see. What's our other Saturday game we have this upcoming weekend?
Saturday football, what a joy! But this is a decent game actually. We got Packers at Bears. Packers are 1.5 point favorite on the road. 46.5 is the slated over under. The Packers have to win this game, so I'm gonna take them to win and cover. Packers minus 1.5.
See, I feel like it's the opposite way. I think the Bears need to win this game more than the Green Bay does. I get it. The Packers are a more dangerous spot to fall out of the race from Detroit if they lose. But if the Bears lose this game, and let's say the Lions win, then the Lions in Week 18 will have a guaranteed opportunity potentially to play a win-and-in spot with Detroit. And if you're the Bears, you cannot have that you can't have that game happen and it being a win-and-in scenario. You would like to clinch a playoff spot before that happens. So I'll take the Bears plus 1.5. I think the Parsons injury is going to play a huge factor in this game. That's obviously being more well said than done. But the Bears played this game pretty close last time these two teams played just a couple weeks ago. I expect this to be a nice, close affair between these two hated rivals, and I got Chicago covering the 1.5 in this matchup on Saturday. Then we go into our Sunday slate, Johnson. It's the Chargers at the Cowboys. Cowboys a 1.5 point favorite. 49.5 is the over-under.
Give me Chargers plus 1.5 here. Cowboys don't stand a chance.
I'll take the Cowboys, and I'm not confident with the pick, but I just look at it. The only way I think the Chargers have a chance in this game is if their defense continues to play the way they've been playing the last couple weeks. But I expect this Cowboys offense to continue to score points, and the Chargers offense is really not giving me any notion that they can score right now. But if there was ever a week to do it, you would agree with me with this. It would be this week because the Cowboys defense is pretty trash the entire season. So this would be the week.
Lad McConkey, this is your time to shine, lad. I
was about to say,
Keenan Allen.
If you have a Chargers player,
Vital. I got Justin Herbert. They all got a chance.
If you have one of those Chargers in fantasy football, you need them to go off this week because for most people, this is your semifinal matchups this upcoming weekend. So you need the Chargers if you have them to go off in this matchup. I think it could be a high-scoring game potentially, if that's the case. What's our next game?
So the next game we have, it's a doozy, Nick. Get this.
God.
Buccaneers at Panthers. Buccaneers on the road, 3-point favorite. 45.5 is a slate over under. Buccaneers will continue to collapse. Todd Bowles is going to walk the plank, and Baker Mayfield's going to be shot out of air in a cannon. Panthers plus 3 to cover and the win.
It's not even Baker's fault that this is happening too, which is the funny part.
It's not, but they always go after the quarterback, so it's just
it's gonna be Todd Bowles.
Yep.
First off, he's got to go. He's never been a good head coach. Yeah, any Jets fan, they would know from experience. Your pick was what? Panthers plus 3.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go with you on that one too. I think they split the two matchups. So I'll take the Panthers at home plus 3. Again, these two teams don't. In my opinion, I would love to get the Lions the playoff spot ahead of these two teams because they both have been playing really bad football to the point where they probably don't deserve a playoff opportunity. But I'll give Carolina the benefit of the doubt. I'll give them the plus 3 in that matchup in the NFC South this upcoming weekend. Our next matchup is a very interesting matchup in the AFC standings as the Jaguars go to Denver to take on the Broncos. The Broncos are a 3-point favorite. 45.5 is the over-under.
Broncos minus 3. Let's just get this out of the way.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence was unbelievable last week against the Jets. If you were facing him in fantasy, you probably aren't in fantasy anymore. But then again, were you really playing Trevor Lawrence? More than likely not. But he's going to be running into a brick wall. This Broncos defense. It's going to go from having a really strong offensive game to a probably down-to-earth game against Denver. I got Denver minus 3 as well. I think Denver might blow them out. I think I'm with you on that too. I think they might win this game by double digits. So we'll see what happens. What's our next game?
Big game. Steelers at Lions, and the Lions are a 7-point favorite at home. 51.5 is the slated over under. Give me Steelers plus 7. They're on a roll.
I'm going to take the Lions minus 7. I'm going to take the over in this game. I could be getting suckered into this -7. It's a scary line with the way Detroit's been playing. I just, for some reason, I just think they're going to blow them out. I don't really trust the Steelers right now, even though they're in the first place. And the Lions, as I mentioned, they're desperate. They have to win this game. They lose, then they give another team an opportunity to clinch a playoff spot. They have to win more than ever. So I'll take Detroit -7, and I'll take the over as well in that matchup in the Motor City. We then go into Sunday Night Football. Big matchup in the AFC standings. The Patriots at the Ravens. Ravens a 3-point favorite. 48.5 is the over-under.
Give me Patriots plus Fury to cover this game.
I should take Patriots plus 3 because Baltimore's giving me no reason to take them. And truthfully, here's the problem I have with this line, Johnson. Why is Baltimore a 3-point favorite with the way they've been playing? Like New England should be a favorite.
I have no idea.
New England should be a 1.5-point favorite.
They know something we don't.
Which is why I'm taking Baltimore -3. That's the only reason I'm taking them. I feel like this is Vegas knows something for this game, and they're making me buy into the line. I don't really like it. I think New England should be a favorite in this matchup on the road, but I'll give the Ravens the 3 in this matchup. I don't like it, but maybe Vegas knows something that I don't know. So give me Baltimore -3. That's Sunday night. And then we round out the week on Monday Night Football.
And it's a big game. 49ers at Colts. 49ers are a 6-point favorite on the road. 46.5 is the slated over-under. Give me Niners to cover. Sorry, Philip.
I spoiled it earlier. I'm going to make the pick again. I'm going to back up Phillip Rivers for a second straight week. I will take the Colts to cover the 6 points. I don't trust the Niners to cover this type of a spread. I think this is going to be a field goal game. Colts are not playing bad with the injuries they've had the last couple weeks, but their offense is just not going to score a lot. But the good thing for them is that the Niners, this is an opportunity for this Colts defense to maybe step up and stop a very strong Niners offense. So I'll take Phillip Rivers to cover the 6 points. I want to see maybe him pull off some Rivers magic one more time. So we'll see what happens Monday night. But that'll do it for this week's edition of the Mushing Hour. Johnson, any final thoughts? It's going to be a crazy week for us. We have not only this upcoming weekend in the NFL, but of course, we have the first round of the college football playoff this upcoming week. Starts off on Friday and then goes into Saturday. So big week in football.
Yeah, here it comes.
Yeah, and then next week we'll be back with college football. We took a week off, of course, with there not being any big games going on. So we'll be back with college football next week, and then we'll recap as well Week 16 in the NFL. We're getting close. We are right at the end point of this NFL season. It's crazy to think that that's the case.
We're at the end.
Yeah, it is crazy to think that is indeed the case. But anything else, Johnson, that I didn't touch on before we wrap this one up?
Just bring us home.
All right, I'll bring us home. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. 15 weeks done in the NFL season. We now head into Sweet 16 of this NFL season. You got the Rams and the Seahawks on Thursday night. 2 games on Saturday, Eagles, Commanders, Packers, and the Bears. Then on Sunday, Chargers, Cowboys, Bucks, Panthers, Jags, Broncos, Steelers, Lions, Patriots, and Ravens in Sunday Night Football. And the week concludes on Monday night with the 49ers and the Colts. We'll see how all this unfolds, and we'll recap those games next week here on the show, as well as recapping the first round of the college football playoff. For Nicholas Pavone and Andrew Johnson, this has been the All Gas No Break Sports Show. Have a great rest of your week.